On this episode of the Finish Line, we got a ton to discuss as the Miami Dolphins, they start setting their practice squad in stone. They claimed a few players. They signed a few players. We got a lot to discuss on that front. Plus, Grier stood out in front of the media for the first time in quite a while. So we will discuss everything he said. I'm joined by Richmond and Mr. BallGame tonight. So we're going to get into it. Smash that like button. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. As always, let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, 80, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Finish Line.
I coached a great offensive lineman in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we're back here for another one. I'm joined by the legendary Richmond Webb and, of course, Mr. BallGame. And it's been a while. The boys are back in town. Throw whatever cliche you want at the wall and hope it sticks. It's good to be back, gentlemen. It has been since, I believe, May? So we are reconvening here to get you guys ready for the season, and we'll be with you through the season. And, you know, the fans really haven't had a chance to hear your guys' thoughts up until this point on what you guys saw from training camp and what you guys think about the roster. So, hey, reintroduce yourself and let us know what's been on your mind lately as Dolphin fans and analysts. Richmond's new here. It's you know, hey, why you got to be muted, brother? It's been a while.
It's been too long, brother. I'm messing up already, but yeah, man, just glad to be back. I know you said last time was May, but it seems longer than that. But man, family's good and all that, and I was happy that you watched the quarterback schools and our OTAs and all that. But then once training camp started, it was good. As far as what I saw during training camp. I didn't see a lot, but just kind of mixed emotions. I was talking to somebody, and we kind of discussed how, sometimes I guess they feel working in situations against another team or some, it's better than actually getting the reps during preseason. And I'm like, it is in a way because you can control the situations, but I think it's nothing like the experience you get in the game because there's no coaches out there. You can't stop the whistle. You got to make the play, and you got to adjust to the game speed and this and that. So I was also kind of, I mean, the starters played a little bit the last game, but I guess I'm just old school. I think you need to kind of tune in a little bit. Not that you got to play a lot, but you got to get used to the timing and get everything timed up. So I saw some good things, but I saw some things that I thought we'd be further along. And so, just like probably like some of the fans, I got some questions. I'm rooting for them, but I'm hoping we jump out the box because first game is against the Colts on the road. That's a dome stadium and it can be loud. So I'm just hoping we get started fast. And then I know Austin Jackson had a little injury. So hopefully our starters are ready to go.
Can I add to this, Richmond? This is the first time since we've been doing this for what, 4 years now, I think?
Something like that, yeah.
Right? 4 or 5 years, right? Either to his rookie year or the second year, whatever. Anyways, the point is, BallGame, correct me if I'm wrong, is this not the first time you've ever heard Richmond kind of on the team? Like, this is like, you can like hear it in your voice. Sorry to cut you off, but this is kind of like a monumental moment because, you know.
Well, I'm gonna ride with them regardless. I guess the thing that, see, I know, I guess the only thing I can compare it to is what we did. And I know everybody's doing it different, but however you do it, it's got to be beneficial and effective to prepare the team to be ready for the first game. And just what I saw the last game, because I kept waiting and I was like, okay, they're going to play the second game. And then they said, no, the starter's not going to play the second game. And I saw the third game. I was like, I said, okay, so not that I'm a diehard. I'm going to root with them regardless, but just on the talent and the people we got and some of the draft picks we had in this now, I was really excited. I think we head in the right direction. I just don't want to get off to a slow start when that can be eliminated. So that's one of my concerns. But I hope I'm wrong. I heard when we get to Indianapolis, we're ready to go, and that's it. But now, other than that, everything is good, and glad to be back on here with you and Mr. BallGame. So yeah, we all three got on orange tonight, so we kind of coordinated.
Yeah, people are coordinating. Someone said all it needs is a white goatee and we're ready to go.
Go ahead, Mr. BallGame. I'm gonna turn it over to you, brother.
It's been a long time, man. You said May, but it feels a lot longer than that. I think over the course of the last couple of months, man, I tuned in to a lot of different spaces. Obviously, follow everything that Reason had going on because he stays plugged in with all the key and essential information, man. But I got a lot of concerns too because we're thin in areas and we're not skilled, in my opinion, in areas that we're gonna be really, really, really crucial, especially right out the gate. You know, after you get past Indianapolis, those are all division games. And, sometimes some people say it's good to catch them early. You know what I'm saying? But, like, if I don't know. I would have loved to have seen more from the starters, right? I think, at the end of the day, in order to play this game, there's a certain level of physicality that still has to be present in it. And in order to get your mind and your body ready for the physical labors that come along with this game, you got to actually get out there and move around in it and get hit. And and do those things consistently so that the body builds up calluses and the body gets used to the bruises in your mind and but if you're out there just playing tag, that just takes away from it for me, watching some of the training camp stuff and then knowing that there were teams that was really physical with us and our guys didn't at some point step up to those challenges. That's concerning because that's the mentality too. Your coach. If your coach is soft, the team gonna be soft, right? So I don't know what Mike has to do to get his aura shifted, but you can't play this game soft. Finesse can only take you so far, and I just don't see. I just don't have a real good feeling right now. I'm gonna be honest with you that there's gonna be anything much different than what we've seen. Tons of talent. Right, and potential, but that really doesn't matter worth the darn if you don't have people willing to sacrifice and put forth the effort to be the best versions of themselves and push themselves outside of their comfort zones. And those are my big things for this season and for the players in general. Like I just believe that they gotta turn the corner, man.
I haven't got your thoughts on this because we were taking our hiatus or whatever. Where did you fall with the Ramsey Minkah trade?
Well, so for me, when Minkah left, and I looked at it differently. I understood his frustrations to some degree because when you have a shift in the regime and then you bring a guy in and the coach tells him one thing, but then you're asking me to do everything and you're putting all this stuff on my shoulders, and then when I don't meet your standard, now you throw me to the wolves like it was all be, you know what I mean? That can sour a player. And when you got a guy like Minkah who came from a winning organization in college to come to the Dolphins, who were in disarray at that point in time, and then have all that thrown at him and then no support, I can understand the frustrations from a player's perspective. And then he went to Pittsburgh and had, you know what I'm saying, unheralded success up there because the structure was different. When you bring a guy like Jalen in who's just asking for some more accountability from the vets and the coaching staff to follow through on things that you promise and treat them all as adults, and let there be no line of everybody's treated the same way, that can be frustrating too because I won a championship just like, in Jalen's mind, I got a ring just like Tyreek got one, but why is it different for me? If I show up to practice, you show up late with a real good excuse. You on my ass about it, but this guy shows up late all the time, and you don't ever say anything.
Practice.
And you don't say anything to him. So those are the things for me, right? It's like you swapped one guy, so Minkah was willing to come back because his family's never left. Really, his brother plays high school ball still down here in Florida. You feel me? And they got a house down there, so it's home to them now at this point. But he left to get away from the situation that I think was ultimately, he saw the writing on the wall that Flores was going to run him in the ground and have him doing a whole bunch of extra stuff and probably shorten his career. So the guy comes back a little more seasoned now. You're in a place now where he's the only real name back there on the back end. So he still got the same level of responsibilities now, but now you're just a general with all these unproven troops. You feel me? But before you was, your commander in chief was lumping all the responsibility on you like you was a veteran. So now it's just flip flop for him, and then they got Ramsey over there, and now Jalen playing out of position. You feel me? So all of these things, I mean, I don't know, man. Some players are interchangeable, some aren't. But at the end of the day, I'm just hoping that where they are in their careers, that they're willing to just do the real work, which is bring these guys along and teach things the right way. And I believe that they're professionals. Aside from the issues that Jalen had with Mike, they're still professionals, and I just don't know. Even bringing Minkah back in the secondary, I don't know if that still removes the level of the question mark about toughness. Because Cam Smith can't. You know what I'm saying?
He can't stay. Well, now he's got a non-football illness. I don't know whether he's hanging out with ex's girlfriends or I don't know what happened to him. But
come on, man.
Listen. Okay, so kind of like I want to talk about something because you did talk about like the whole soft narrative, and you did imply you tied to the coach and Mike McDaniel. When we were 2-4 last year, and even when we were 2-6, what was I rifling off on this channel that, if you got to fire this guy midseason, you got to fire him midseason because we got to promote Weaver and see what we have.
Yep.
Now we're living in a real world where I've been told the first, you can check my latest Patreon update or, channel member update here. I was told the first 4 games are so critical for this team, and for Mike McDaniel specifically. And my thing is, don't do what you did with Flores. Don't decide in October, okay, we're going to fire this guy at the end of the year, but let's ride it out.
Right.
No, you got to figure out what you have with Anthony Weaver, because rumors out of Pittsburgh right now are as if it goes south in Pittsburgh, Tomlin could be out of a job. And that's, if it don't work out with Weaver, I'd be calling Mike Tomlin and being like, now, if you do hit on Weaver, that's a moot point. But you get what I'm saying. You got to figure out what you got. Kind of like, knock on wood, if we have an injury at quarterback this year, you got to kind of throw Quinn Ewers to the Wolves to see what you got. Right? Same could be said for the head coaching situation. I wanted to ask you guys, though, because
no one's safe.
You both, no one is, but the first 4 games, especially from Mike. you got, because in those first three, like you guys mentioned, we're taking on divisional opponents. I got to ask you guys this.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys buying into the Jets and the Patriots hype? Now, personally, you guys know I love Drake May coming out last year. Him and Jaden Daniels were my guys.
Right.
When people were crapping on Drake May, I was saying, yo, well, this kid's going to be good. But they had a solid draft, boys. But I still think they're another 2 solid off seasons away from putting together a roster like we have in Miami right now. Tua is undefeated against both of those teams. Where are you guys at? Like, let's start with you, Richmond. Another year has passed. Are you more, Justin Fields seems like he's a mess in the Jets.
He is.
Where are you more afraid of the Patriots now because they got a good, solid coaching staff in Vrabel and another year Drake May? Where are you feeling with our AFC East? I mean, we already know how we all feel with the Buffalo Bills, so we don't got to go there.
I think, you bring up a valid point. I think if you really look at the coaches across the board, Buffalo, like you said, is already there, but Vrabel, what he did in Tennessee, a physical style of football. So, like you said, maybe not this year. If you're going to get him, but he's going to build it the same way he did in Tennessee. Physical, play smart football. That's what he came from up under Belichick. And the exact same thing with the Jets, even with Aaron Glenn or AG, he came up under Dan Campbell, all that. And like you say, they don't have the quarterback, I don't think yet, because Fields at times is hit and miss. But I think you can expect him to play a lot more physical. But I still think he might need another year before he turns it around. And you don't want to be at the bottom of the barrel. So some of the points you just made about, if this thing is not going to work with Coach McDaniel, I'm really high on Coach Weaver. I think he's kind of proven what he did last year, what he had to work with, and then seemed like everything he's going to continue to rise in the way he's coaching the defense. So even if everything works out, I can see him being on the short list for a head coaching position. Just his mannerism and all that. Huh?
I'll give you a bold statement.
Okay.
If he was the head coach, Jalen Ramsey wouldn't have asked to be traded.
Facts.
Well, I think we wouldn't have had some of the shenanigans we had last year about, from some. He seems like he commands, his presence, the way he handles his players. He's not there to be your friend. He's there to be your coach.
You want another bold statement? I get the sense Anthony Weaver is that blend of Flores and McDaniel we've been looking for. Right? We've said McDaniel's too far this side. Flores is too far that side. Yeah. He seems like the guy in the middle who he can buy into. Everyone loves him. He can gain your trust, but you better perform in it when you clock in and it's
Look
business
who we learned
time.
it from, though.
Yeah.
But Romeo? Romeo was good. Romeo Cornell. A lot of players loved Romeo Cornell, but he was such a good coach and a good football mind too, right?
Harbaugh too, though.
Yeah.
Like you said, and watch a guy create such an
McVay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you I tell people all the time, you can be tough on your players, but if they can trust you, they're going to play for you. But if they feel you just BSing them and this and that, once you lose them, you're not going to get them back. And he seems like that. I think when I say tough, like I think he's respectful, but at the same time, he has expectations based on the talent level, and he has a certain level that he feels you can achieve. He's going to push you to try to get the most out of you. And I've never met him or talked to him, but just the way I see the way the defense and everything plays, I can see that. So, yeah.
AZ Fanatic, let me tell you this. From my last trip to Miami, I'm looking into the dead windows to your soul right now and telling you it is never, ever going to happen. Ever. This man is going down with it like the violinist on the Titanic, brother. He's either living by that sword or he's dying by that sword. It's never happening. Let me tell you that. Never, ever going to happen.
That's so sad.
It just is what it is. BallGame, what are your thoughts on the situation with the AFC East right now? Are you worried about Fields? I think Aaron Glenn's a good coach. I just think he has the wrong quarterback in New York. What are your thoughts?
I think there's some question marks about Glenn. right? Because this will be the first time he's ever been in this position. So they got some things to work out. But I think one thing that I always take into consideration that some people seem to overlook is the fact that he don't have nothing to lose. You know what I mean? And if you get buy-in from your guys early enough, and he's consistently doing things the way he says he's going to do them, then they'll buy in faster, and guys will start committing a lot sooner to whatever that movement is. But it's not like the Jets don't have pieces there. You know what I'm saying? It's not that they don't have quality players there. What they just lacked was somebody with the vision to put it all together. So if he can get them all moving in the same direction, that can be a problem for anyone, because now you got a team that's motivated. Now you got a team that believes in themselves, past even what their physical limitations might even have been. You know what I'm saying? Some guys do from week to week play out of their heads because of the fact that they believe so much in what the coach is trying to establish there, and they, that in itself can be dangerous. As far as the Patriots are concerned, Vrabel is no slouch, and he's gonna bring a level of toughness, and he brings a whole, having played as a player, had success as a coach, Brents payer type of guy, much like Belichick in terms of how he's gonna hold players accountable. That in itself can be dangerous, because you got two teams now who are fairly young, right, looking for a way to establish themselves in a division that everybody done just said it belongs to Buffalo, no matter what the other teams do. And here we are fighting for some level of respectability too, and haven't really done anything other than just got a whole bunch of names on the roster that had flashes of brilliance, but we haven't done anything. So I don't really see us, to be honest with you, I don't see us really any better than them in terms of what we all have to prove. You see what I'm saying? We all in the same pool for that. Talent-wise, we might be a little bit better in some spots than them, you know what I'm saying, and have a little more experience. But, like, our coach also, if I had to go right now and I had to decide if I had to pick between those three coaches, that Vrabel, Glenn, and McDaniels as my head coach, I'm not picking Mike. I'll tell you that right now, because the toughness element, you know what I'm saying, comes with those other two guys. Both of those other two guys played in this league. They know what it's like to have to go through playing for tough coaches. Glenn played
hard-nosed defense.
Glenn played for Parcells. You see what I'm saying? Vrabel played for Bill.
Look at that defense he helped build with Dan Campbell in Detroit, right?
Exactly.
Look at the defense Vrabel played on and the defense he built in Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly. So that all that hits different. You know what I mean? And sometimes really that's all you need for guys to really start to believe that they can achieve some things, is leadership that's been in the trenches before. You know what I mean? It's hard to really follow a guy sometimes when you know that guy really hasn't gone through what he's asking you to go out there and do.
Yeah.
Like, my son used to say this all the time to their friends. They were like, "Look, my dad's not going to ask you to go run through that brick wall if he had never had to be that. He never did it himself." Like, that was one of my things for my kids. Like, hey, listen, I'm not going to ask you to do something I ain't never had to do. I promise you.
Yeah.
So, but I can prove to you that I've done it before. And once they see that you did it, then they don't have any excuses not to go out and do it. And that's going to be scary, because at that point, they don't know what they don't know. They just following, and they believe you, and they'll follow you to the end. And that's what you need sometimes in football, is a spark. I'm just hoping that Mike, he can't get out of his own way. So he won't give up that play calling thing, because you can't really do both, man. I'm sorry. You can't ride two horses at the same time. And you haven't proven that you're good at either one of them yet. You haven't proven that you're 100% good at being a coach. And you haven't proven that you're 100% good at being a play caller. So pick one. And there's no knock on you. You know what I'm saying? But
but we say that, but you know how these coaches are, man. With
egos.
And stuff.
I said it. I say it all the time.
You know what I said? I will tell you this much. I said to someone when I was down in Miami, I said, it's Brian Flores all over again. It's just a different personality with that stubbornness and that ego. It's my way or the highway. That's literally where it is. So, PL, why you guys got to stir the pot? Other non-content creators in the Dolphins community are trying to replicate the finish line. Welcome back, gentlemen. Aaron, why you got to continue to stir the pot, bro? Why you got to do that? I appreciate you, the donation, though. 1017 says late to it, but damn, it's good to see the band back together. And shout out to Penn. She gifted 10 Inside the NFL memberships. If you just got one, go over to post and check my latest post for all of you guys. So let's get into some stuff that happened today. All right, so a few things here. Let's talk about them. Some things I really, really like. So let's start off with the Miami Dolphins. We know they needed cornerback help. and they went out and they added and they claimed former Colts cornerback Juju Brents. Fresh start. I mean, he was taken in the second round, same draft as Cam Smith. If you actually go back and remember my man crush list from the 2023 draft, Juju Brents was on it. I mean, we are talking about an elite athlete. At the time of when he did his combine, he had the longest arms ever measured for a cornerback at 34 inches. He had a 9.99 relative athletic score. He had the fourth best relative athletic score ever of any cornerback up until that time. Like, he's over 6'2.5". He's just around 200 pounds. 41.5-inch vertical, 11'6" broad jump. We're talking about like a real athlete. You know what I mean? Like a 1.5 10-yard split. Now, 4.5 340 didn't live up to the rest of his testing, but he's a really good athlete. He knows how to use his length. He's good in press. He, coming out, he did flash a little in zone. I don't know where he is right now, because I haven't had a chance to dive into the tape, which is what I'll be doing tonight to see why they passed on him. BallGame, what did you think about the Miami Dolphins making this claim into a room right now that's got a lot of question marks after they added Rasul Douglas, obviously Storm Duck is there, and then Jack Jones, and you got Jason Marshall Jr. going to be his first year in that nickel spot in his career. What did you think about adding a guy like Juju, who's primarily a boundary guy?
Well, I'm always high on potential, right? And when you look at him from a physical standpoint, he always jumped off the charts, right? In terms of, he just flashes out there at you like, oh my God, okay, this guy could be something special. Problem was, I think, was just he just couldn't stay healthy. You know what I mean? And then, but maybe the body's matured a bit more. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's figured a couple things out, and if he can stay healthy, then at this point, beggars can't be choosy, because our secondary is atrocious. Outside really and truthfully, outside of with Cater going down, man, they might be going to pick up somebody from Walmart parking lot. You know what I'm saying? By week 6, who you never know. Hell, I might even tell my sons to go down there and walk on. At this point, you know what I mean? So I'm optimistic that as long as he can stay healthy, he can help us. You know what I mean? And it's just a matter of getting in and get acclimated to the terminology. You know what I'm saying? If his head is in the right space and his heart is there, then you know what I'm saying, why not? We don't have anything to
stay healthy.
That's
he can't
it.
Stay healthy. That's his biggest issue, right?
Yeah, we don't have anything to lose at this point, because if you start calling out the names of the people in our secondary outside of Minkah Fitzpatrick, ain't nobody gonna shudder. You're not going to scare anybody away. At least when you said Cater, they knew that, okay, the slot was at least going to be eliminated. But now at this point, you got a rookie playing the slot. You got question marks on the outsides, you know what I'm saying? So, and then you go bring in Rasul Douglas, you know what I'm saying, another op from the Bills. I mean, just...
You see Poyer went back to Buffalo today too, eh?
I mean, you come down, you steal the secrets, and then you go on back, and they re-sign you back. You know what I mean?
Who did we just get Juju from, and who are we playing in week 1?
Yeah, bro.
Because, did you see they signed, not only did they sign X, they signed Mike Hilton in Indianapolis.
Right. All these... So. I mean, it's just a carousel at this point. Everybody's looking for some type of an edge. You know what I'm saying? Some type of secret that they can get, some tails, this, that, and third.
Play the game, don't let the game play you.
Exactly. Fact.
Right?
That's fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's funny, but it's true. I mean, it is what it is.
Copycat league, though, man. Like,
it is.
You know what I'm saying? And if you're doing something, I need to know from the inside how to stop what you're doing. So, you know what I'm saying? Who better than to go grab a guy that's already down there running against it? You know what I'm saying? And bring him on back in. You know, I'm not even 100% convinced that wasn't the plan all along. They played.
Well, I'm not even 100% convinced that they really think they got something with X. I feel like you played against Tua for 3 years in practice. What's it like? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even gonna lie, because I'm gonna tell you this much: if they lose, see that I forgot to mention this earlier with the seeds of doubt that sounded like they're planted in Richmond's mind right now about this team. I feel like I'm going to hear a lot less predictions of Miami winning this year, huh, Richmond? Is that,
I'm going to ride with them. I am.
We're going 16 for 16 again this year, huh?
It's hard, man. I'm telling you, my heart is truly. I just, man, I'm gonna ride with them, but it's just.
Bro, if we win 9
They
games,
just don't look like the timing and everything. It's just something ain't right. But I don't know. Hopefully I'm wrong. That's all I say. Hopefully I'm wrong. So
if they win 9 games, I'll be happy. If they win,
well, I think it comes down to health. If Tua stays healthy, you're gonna win 9 to 10 games minimum.
so like question marks though.
It's just is that front seven gonna get home enough, because that secondary might be an issue.
Is he gonna slide? Is he
know.
gonna get out of bounds? Is he gonna just take? You know what I'm saying? Is he just gonna go down and get tagged out? He gonna go? Come on.
If he doesn't, he's gonna. It's
can't
not
be playing hero ball, man. Like we are not in a space for any of that, bro.
If he doesn't, and
Oh.
when he comes to and he hears Lenore Seller and Garrett Nussmeyer on this channel, someone better tell him he ain't in Kansas anymore. That ain't gonna be a vision. That's gonna be the truth. So you just got to stay healthy, man. Like and really that even happens to the offensive line. I mean, look at Austin Jackson. Yeah. Guys hurt more than Tua. This guy plays less. This guy plays less snaps in the preseason and training camp than these veterans who wait to sign for the last week. Yeah, and this guy's like, what, 25? Austin Jackson is wild, man. Like, I'm going to tell you this much. Okay, let's say Tua does stay healthy this year and we win 10, 11, 12 games. I'm looking for a corner and I'm looking for a tackle next year, because we can't keep – I'm sorry, man. There's one thing to go through this with Teron Armstead, but I don't – you don't need to be a rocket scientist to come to the conclusion that Austin Jackson ain't Teron Armstead. I'll put up with it for a Hall of Fame resume left tackle. I'm not going to put up for it for a right tackle who's been up and down like a roller coaster at Disney. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's where I'm at. I can't believe they locked themselves into $16 million with that guy next year. Like that's it with the restructures. That's nuts. But continuing on here, the Miami Dolphins, Juju Brents was a player we talked about on this channel yesterday when I was talking about players I like that had hit that waiver today. Another player that hit the waiver that they made a move on that I was super high on, the Miami Dolphins, they went and signed former Broncos and Giants tight end Greg Dulcich. And listen, I mean, I think he was led the preseason in touchdowns, because y'all see my boy Jackson Dart lighting the world up, eh? Was I right or was I right about Jackson Dart? I haven't talked to you guys since then, but that kid looks for real. Anyways, Dulcich, he led the preseason in touchdowns. You know what he kind of reminds me of?
I think he had like 7 catches, 53 yards, and like 3 or 4 touchdowns, right?
If Mike Gesicki was willing to block.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Dulcich is a good blocker. I'm not telling you that at all. But he's willing to get his hands dirty, Gesicki didn't want to get his hair, his hair out of shape, so he wasn't willing to get in there. But, man, tough hands, tough, strong hands. Had that really good rookie season with the Broncos. We saw what
that room is weak.
That room is weak. I think this is a solid pickup, man.
What they should have did is went up there to Green Bay and asked them, made a trade for Musgrave. They got, what I mean?
I don't know when he was coming out. I heard when he's coming out of college, right? He was at Oregon State. I heard he liked to hit the slopes a little one too many times a day. All right, loves skiing on that white snow, brother. You know what I mean? So I heard he's heavy. So Green Bay, it snows a lot out there, and there's nothing to do. So it made a whole lot of sense. So I don't know about bringing that to the Miami life. That's just my opinion. Now, has he changed? I don't know. Maybe he found God out in Green Bay because he had nothing better to do with his time. I don't know. But yeah, who who they were in on? Who they're trying to hit up? And it's crazy. I had this. No one really would have guessed it. They were trying to get Charlie Kohler from the Ravens, the kid out of Iowa State. They were trying to get him, but apparently they were told by the Ravens that they're going to be moving off of Mark Andrews at the end of this season, more than likely, and Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kohler are going to be their tight ends moving forward. So, yeah, I don't know. So I love this move. I think this is a guy, he can be a move tight end, perfect look for a wide tight end, the things he can do in the offense for you. And he's another guy with a decent RAS. I mean, right? He was what, at 243 pounds, 6'4", and he ran a 4.69. He had a 2.67 20-yard split, 7.05 3 cone, 10-foot 2-inch broad jump. I mean, he's a pretty good athlete for his size. Like I said, you're not going to ask him to block the world, but he's willing to block, and it was on tape back when you saw him coming out of UCLA. So, I mean, you can line up in the slot. He can line up out wide as an H-back, as that inline Y that I was talking about, So, and I know coming out, he ran, he's a pretty decent route runner coming out. So, yeah, I'm high on this edition here. So, good stuff by the Miami Dolphins, in my opinion. And then, yeah, I think they did a good job with that right there. So, happy with those two signings and claims they put in. And then continuing on with some stuff that happened today. This is right up your alley too, Richmond, right here. The Miami Dolphins, they went ahead and they brought back Kendall, Lamm, and they placed Cam Smith on the reserve non-football illness list. Let me ask you this, Richmond. They brought back Kendall, Lamm. Obviously, he can play right tackle. They've had Larry Borum there. First of all, what have been your opinions on Larry Borum at right tackle? And are you worried about bringing a guy like Kendall, Lamm, who last offseason, it felt like he was ready to retire. His body was breaking down. He couldn't hack it in Philadelphia right now and got cut. Are you worried about if this is a guy you can even rely on, because we've seen the injuries over across the offensive line over the last couple of years? And what have you thought about Larry Borum?
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of my concerns, is not so much the starting five, but the depth. And then, like you said, you got cut from Philadelphia. Well, it's a reason, because I think that's one of the reasons is their trenches on both sides of football is they're deep on offensive and defensive line. And I think that's what you got to need. And I think even with not only us, but I know that's an area we definitely need to prove depth. And like you said, when you kind of have musical chairs, people always focus on Tua and, him getting hurt. But if you can't form some type of consistency up there in the offensive line, you're going to have issues unless you got really good quality backup. So that's my concern. Like you said, Kendall, Lamm, I think the thing that probably he benefits from is he's been here. He's been in the system. If he has to step in with, if Austin Jackson's not ready, he already kind of knows it. And then Borum, I like him. I think he's younger. But I don't know, for whatever reason, they went with Lamm over him. That's the only thing I would think, is that, because he's had previous experience. He's played a little bit, like you say, when Armstead or, guys, Jackson's out, he can play the tackle position. But I think that's something we got to continue to upgrade. Like when we got Savanea and he's going to play the guard position, I think you got to look to improve that, because like you and BallGame said earlier, teams are going back to running the football and not just throwing. So you've got to make that adjustments. If you look at, like I say, Philly, you look at Detroit, and I think even the Chiefs, they realized that was one of the reasons they lost the Super Bowl, is they got dominated up front, especially the offensive line. They had some guys hurt. So you got to figure out what makes the wheels go round. And I love the skill positions, all that. That's good and fine, but it starts up front. And if you don't have that, if you don't get that right, you're going to eventually struggle. You'll be able to get by at times, but when you get off into the latter part of the season and into the playoffs, that's where, it's really you're going to be exposed. And I would like to see us continue to improve that. But yeah, I think that's the reason they possibly went with Lamm, is because he's been here. He kind of knows the system maybe a little bit better, whatever. I'm speculating. I don't know, but that's what I come up with.
And this is the practice squad roster right now, 15 of 16 as it stands. Now, they waived Isaiah Johnson and Jordan Colbert today to make way for some of those moves that they made with Greg Dulcich and, of course, adding Juju Brents and such, right? So, BJ Adams, Cornell Armstrong, Quentin Bell, Jordan Colbert is apparently, that's who they're trying to get on there. Braden Daniels, Greg Dulcich, AJ Hennings, Alex Huntley, Derek McLendon, Riley Patterson, Josh Preby, Hayden Rucci, John Sanders, Theo Weiss, Jeff Wilson. They brought Jeff Wilson in, former, obviously, 49er running back, and he had a stint here. So the 16th spot is presumably they're going to for Isaiah Johnson, who's got to clear waivers. So that's what your practice squad is going to look like. Just add Isaiah Johnson to it. All right. Now he's just got to clear waivers. So that's where we're at with the practice squad as it stands right now. I want to get your thoughts, BallGame. What did you think of John Sanders Jr.? Were you surprised that they originally kept a Jordan Colbert over a John Sanders Jr.? Because I thought he had I want to get your thoughts on him, and also what have you thought of of Jason Marshall Jr. in the slot so far?
I'll start with Marshall first. I think there's a lot of upside for this kid, and him being able to be moved inside of them feeling like he has the ability to play inside of there. That's key for us, because I don't see anybody else really on the roster that would have been able to slide in there and then have the confidence to play on week one in that spot. So I think he brings a lot of different things, to the table in terms of versatility and his athleticism. Not the fastest guy, but he's got some quick twitch to him that, makes him a really, 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 really good project. You know what I mean? And he really goes out and does exactly what's asked of him. He doesn't try to go and do anything more than what his alignment and assignment dictates. So that's a guy that you can trust, and I think that's one of the reasons why they got him slotted the way he is in one of the most important positions on the defense in terms of the secondary. Aside from that, bro, I'm not gonna even lie to you. Like, I really don't like any of them other guys, man. I don't. I think they're all limited. I think they all have some things about them in terms of their movement and how they go about getting from one landmark to the other that I just don't like. And I think it's a lack of athleticism, and it's a lack of understanding of the position. You know what I'm saying? But with Colbert in particular, I think might have been the reason they might have held on to him a little bit more.
Special teams.
The special teams. Yeah. Exactly. So, and you need that. You got to have that. That's another phase of the game that has to be worked, and those guys have to be committed to being able to be a part of that process in order for you to have total success. So I get it. But me personally, I just really don't feel like the Dolphins did their due diligence in regards to shoring up that back end. And maybe to some degree we would just believe wholeheartedly that he has the pieces up front to be able to get the type of pressure, so you don't need it. But I would have spent more assets, truthfully, going at least in the draft. I like Jonah, you know what I'm saying? I like the fact we got Grant, but everything after that for me would have been cornerback. I would have brought in as many cornerbacks as possible and had the ultimate secondary battles across for the ages, because there's just too many question marks. You feel me? And I do believe Bonner has high upside to him, but hell, he can't stay healthy either. And Storm Duck is raw, extremely raw, but he's like Marshall. He'll listen. He'll go out and do exactly what you want him to do. We still don't know what Cam is because he stay hurt, so he's soft. And then you relying on a rookie in the slot.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. And
Jack Jones hasn't been able to stay anywhere. Razzle Douglas is. You could make the argument he's over the hill. Yeah.
So it's ugly, bro. Like I mean, I don't really. I want to be optimistic, but I really can't right now because I know that those are key. Like, I just don't see any of those guys having the ability to be able to contain Garrett Wilson. I don't see any of those guys having the ability to be able to stick with the guys long enough while Josh improvises and then find somebody open. They got two of the best tight ends. They got two of the better tight ends on their team that they're going to heavily lean on, and Kincaid and Dawson Knox. Like, they're going to do that, and those are going to be mismatch opportunities out there, and those guys run like wide receivers. The big boy, you know what I mean? Like, we got issues, bro, and like they didn't do it. I don't know, man. I know I'm shifting off of your question, but Sanders and Colbert, yeah. I just thought that they didn't. Grier could have did a little bit better job of constructing this roster, man, make it more competitive and tougher, especially on the back end. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I just don't see anything. Nothing pops to me in regards to those guys. Like, there's a certain thing about, I always say, that NFL level corners have. You know what I mean? You can tell it in the first 3 to 4 steps that they take. You know what I mean? Like, when you see a Surtain, he ain't side shuffling. He backpedaling. He's sticking to the fundamentals, and he know that's got in there. He has extreme athleticism, but at the same time, he stays true to what got him there. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys, I just don't see it. You know what I mean? They're second tier. They're second, third tier guys. They're not the cream of the crop. And they're not saying they all got to be top notch like Jalen Ramsey or Surtain. But hell, you got to at least be able to look at them and see their name and say, damn, okay, that's going to be a tough matchup for me on Sunday.
Yeah.
There's none of that right now.
All right, I want to get into some things that Chris Grier talked about today. Let's start this off. He had media availability. We hadn't seen him in quite some time. So let's start off and let's get into it because I do have a bit I want to go over.
Oh, thank you. So, unlike some past Marches, there wasn't big free agent spending spree this year. Was a decision not to give out those huge contracts to outside free agents a decision that Steve Ross recommended to do something differently? Was it something that you and Brandon Shore recommended to Steve as a new way of doing business? And I say this kind of in jest, but might it have saved a lot of aggravation from fans if you had spent big money on a corner in March to sort of check that off the list? Obviously, cap space would have had to been created to do that.
No, Steve's never given us a directive on how to do it. You know, we meet with him, Brandon and I, spend time with him and Tom Garfinkel and obviously Mike, and we talk through our plan. And every year is different. You know, we've had years here where it's been all draft focused for a couple of years, and then at some point you have to reset. And when you go and you make aggressive moves like we had made for a few years, you have to reset again and start it over because it's just not sustainable the way the contracts are with players and what they're making now. So in terms of directive, no, it was just, for us, it was just good business sense, working through it and trying to find value. But we also had to get younger, you know, so we added younger players. And, you know, like a year ago, we were one of a couple teams with all the 1 year vet contracts and stuff. And so we're in a different spot now, adding the young players. So that's the direction we're going right now, and we've been very happy so far.
There's a number of people in this room, including me, have raised serious concerns about your secondary, especially your cornerback position. Do you think we're making, to borrow your phrase, do you think we're more concerned about it than you are?
Turning it on me, huh? I know Coach Weaver and Mike have been, you know, very, you know, honest with you guys about it as well. We feel good about the room, adding Rasul Douglas in to the group. We feel it was good. We've been talking to him throughout the summer, as most of you guys have known. Getting Minkah added to the group was huge for us. Some of the young players, they're young corners, they have opportunities now to compete and make plays. I will tell you that Cam Smith is going on NFI today, so that's a little bit of a change. And also where we are right now, we're probably going to be aggressive here through the claims here this today too, to make hopefully get a couple other players at positions and add them to the roster. So we feel good about that group. They've competed. They've done well, all spring and summer battling. A lot of the stuff that we're working on are not things that they're going to be doing in regular season games because you're not game planning, showing things to teams. So it was good to see them out competing and working. And we've been very happy with it. And I know you guys have heard some of our receivers talk about how the guys have done a nice job, throughout camp and stuff. So now listen, they're young. Some of those guys are young. They got to prove it. And but we're excited about what the potential could be, but they have to do it now and for real, starting next Sunday.
How confident or concerned are you about offensive line depth?
Yeah, we're a little light there right now with 8, but we like some of the guys. We'll be signing Kendall, Lamm here later today, back to the roster. So Kendall's been a good player for us, in the role he serves. For us, I think the best thing that happened, and is for me, is for the experience for Larry to play and get some experience with the ones. Austin, obviously we need him back. He's a really good player. He's trending for playing week 1. Excited for him to be out there. But I think to get that group out there together, the starting 5 playing together was good. But it's good for Larry, who's coming in, learning a whole new technique, systems of doing everything. And coaches are very happy with him, as our teammates and stuff. He's been a really good fit for the room. And James Daniels has done a nice job coming in at guard as well. And the 2 young guys on the other side getting all that work throughout the spring was good. So getting Keon Smith back was really good because he can play tackle and guard as well. So we feel good about it. Daniel Brunskill's been a veteran that's played in this system for a long time. So he gives us, some comfort there as a backup. So we feel good about it, but we know they have to go out and play, and it'll be, exciting to keep them and see what they can do as a group. But very encouraged and excited, as you've heard Mike and the coaching staff talk about.
So let's start with you, BallGame. They flipped back the whole "you're more concerned about it than we are" phrase he said about the offensive line that ended up biting him in the butt last year. They brought that up regarding the secondary. Again, Weaver and that system he comes for isn't reliant on big names in the back. And I mean, what has Marlon Humphrey been really outside of a couple of those good years there? Do you think this is a one thing where they're being a little too arrogant with that spot?
I think when you consistently, even though there's a trend for teams to want to go back to trying to run the ball, it's still a passing league, and you need players at those positions that can hold their own. That's really what you want your corners to do. And he kept alluding to the fact they're a young group, right? So he's asking right now, that whole thing to him talking is his way of asking people to be patient with them. But this is the highest level of football. So patience, what I'm saying? We was patient 2-3 years ago already. You had an opportunity to address this and really show up, and you spent, look how, man, I don't know. No, I'm not convinced. You know what I'm saying? Him talking to those guys is just trying to cover up the fact that he still didn't go out and do what I feel like he should have did. You should have been showing up the secondary all along. Every draft, you should have been grabbing a guy somewhere in the top 3 picks every year. That's how you get younger, right? Yeah. And you let one at a time, along with your veteran on the opposite side, learn. So when it's time for your veteran to go, now you got a guy that's already established on the opposite side of him, and you bring the other guy in, and you got one side. You don't have weaknesses on both outside spots. You know what I'm saying? And a guy that can't stay healthy at your strong safety spot, who was a free safety normally, originally, that came from the Jets, and Ashton Davis. You feel me? You went and got all these guys that got all these injury issues, but you didn't do anything in the draft to address it. You feel me? And Trader, Jr., and all these guys, man, those slug bugs, man. Them guys ain't gonna really be. They depth pieces at best. Yeah. Let's be clear about that. You know what I'm saying? Like I looked at these kids tape, and I'm great they have an opportunity to play at the highest level, but they're never gonna be the people that we need them to be, and they're gonna be gone. You know what I'm saying? And he did the same thing, spending a 3rd round pick on old boy from Alabama. Now he gone. He ain't even on the roster. Kendall gone. And you kept KJ Britt.
Georgia, yeah, Tyndall, what did you think, Richmond? It's it's never a good thing when they ask you, what do you think about the offensive line, and the first things out of your mouth is, yeah, it's thin, a little light, and then your answer to that is, well, we're adding Kendall Lamm, like that's going to make it much stronger. Is that them kind of self-admitting? I mean, they keep trying to talk up Keon Smith, Richmond, and I haven't been buying it since they started talking about the guy. Brents wasn't that impressive in the preseason either. What are your thoughts there on him kind of saying we're kind of light?
Well, I mean, we basically are. And, he said that, and he said, I think Austin Jackson is trending, to plan, but that's not saying he might be questionable for the game. So I know it's an ankle injury, and he's had issues with that before. So like BallGame said, I hope all these guys work out. I do, but it's harder, or as for a defensive scheme, like he was talking about with the corners, it's always harder when you got 2 or 3, new spots that, you can't kind of cover just one side. Everybody's just kind of on an island by themselves. And then, I think we've all known we've had, offensive line issues. And like you said, we drafted a guy, but we really need to try to fill those holes, and they wasn't that aggressive in free agency. And he was saying, well, we've got to do it through the draft. We did this a couple years. So I think he knows, but I think he said it in a way to where he acknowledged, we kind of seeing the same things you guys are seeing. We just, hopefully we can get through this with what we got right now. But I think he said it without saying it, I guess, and he kind of smoothed it out pretty good. But I agree. It's you've got to have depth at the offensive line, especially the past history we've had, where we've had 2 or 3 guys go down or out at the same time. That makes a huge difference in the continuity, guys playing together, this and that. So definitely we needed to upgrade that. But not excited about some of the backups, because if some of the backups had developed into starters, that's a different thing. But when you just kind of being a backup and you continue to be a backup, you've almost saying like you've plateaued, or you're not really getting any better. You limited into, how good of a player you can be. So it is some concern there.
Just so you guys see it here, this is rumored to be the alternate jersey that they're dropping tomorrow.
Whoa. Rocking the black, huh?
A little bit of a leak. Yeah, it's like a dark bluish, but this is rumored to be what's going to be the jersey that they revealed tomorrow. So there's just a little bit of a potential leak for you guys. That's the image that's going around right now on social media. So interesting. I like it, man. I'm definitely going to grab one. That's for sure. If that's what it is. I just don't know whether it's going to be a chop or an HN yet. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Quickly, you guys got about 30 seconds each. Ball game. Final thoughts?
I can't be anything other than what I've been, man. Just true to my, true to what my eyes tell me. Yeah. And I just think we're gonna struggle. I mean, I think there's gonna be some tremendous struggles down the stretch at all levels, even at the coaching levels. I think Weaver's gonna do the best he can to combat some of what Mike's gonna still be probably pushing them through, unless he taps into some level of some of the greats and just decides to do things differently. I think he's still gonna, he's gonna be a struggle in itself. So it's early. Right, the first 4 games really do matter. Right, you can't lose any of those, or you can't go down coming out of those at best 2-2, because now giving up leverage in the division, which matters more so than anything else, truthfully. So he got to put up, and they got to show improve early, and I'm optimistic and hopeful, but at the same time, I'm not really gonna set myself up to be disappointed. So.
Richmond?
Yep, just glad to be back. I think we all kind of address concerns. Ain't no need of beating a dead horse. Only thing I'll say is I hope we wrong, and I don't have a problem with saying, hey, I was wrong. Matter of fact, I'll be happy, but I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back on the show with you guys and looking forward to it. So that's it.
And John C. donates $50 to say Minkah in that front seven should neutralize QB improvisation. But thanks for keeping it real, ball game. So appreciate you, John C. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, you know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day. Over 450 of you in the room. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. And we'll catch you on the next one. Have a fantastic rest of your day, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this.